Come, let us explore an ancient secret to time our meditation. Excuse me. Ugh. Oh yeah, all classy, all the time. That's me. Okay, here we go. Together, let us relaxingly recite. In these days of technological terrors, we can easily time our meditation using the stopwatch app on our smartphones. In days of yore, however, one might time one's meditation session by burning 1, 2, or 3 sticks of incense, one after the other. This method of crease counting, however, was inspired by the techniques practiced by many Bengalis. Good morning, Shivi. Those of us living in countries enduring a rise in fascism know that although cranky officials on polyester could confiscate both smartphones and rosaries alike, we'll most always have our hands, and by extension this means of practicing crease counting. Those who have endured disabilities numerous and lifelong are often drawn to the energy work of Taoism as well as Tantric Buddhism. Although they could influence their bodies, channels, winds, and drops, or Nadi Prana and Bindu in Sanskrit, through visualization and invocation. The easiest and most therapeutic method is to use the finger gestures or mudra that are part and parcel of this practice of Bengali crease counting. Beginning with the first pillar, over the span of 12 inhalations, we could touch the tip of our right thumb to the lowermost, middling, and uppermost sets of creases upon its little finger. It could then do likewise upon its ring, middle, and index fingers. Continuing with the second pillar, we could count sets of 12 inhalations each with our left thumb. To count 4 sets, we could touch the tip of our left thumb to the lowest set of creases upon the little, ring, middle, and index fingers of our left hand. Yes, to count 8 sets, we could touch both the lowest and middling sets of creases upon the 4 fingers of our left hand. And even count 12 sets by touching the lowest, middling, and uppermost sets of creases upon the 4 fingers of our left hands. But typically we'll only count the 4 sets of 12 inhalations each. Finishing with the third pillar, we could gather 4 collections. Take 2. Finishing with the third pillar, we could gather 5 collections of 4, 8, or 12 sets of 12 inhalations each. in a manner that gently, therapeutically, and sustainably influences our channel's wins and drops. Okay, one moment if you please. Okay. We could rest the great knuckle at the base of our right index finger, upon the tip of our left index finger, palms up in our lap. Doing so could gently invite our real or imagined subtle energies to automatically coalesce at the crown region of our head. One moment, if you please. So I'm going to pause our opening lesson here and prepare to actually start meditating with you. So to announce this change of gears, it is Ahsoka Tano Thursday morning. Come, let us meditate like a Jedi after approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I have harnessed my autistic special interests and my ADHD hyper-focus to spend about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of meditation so that I can become your nerdy, neurodivergent guide to nirvana. Welcome, my friends, to meditate like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. So we're going to shift now to the latest iteration of very easy syncing meditation. Today I'm playing with syncing meditation in the morning and climbing meditation in the evening. The only difference is not which energy centers we use, but the sequence of energy centers, because doing so has an influence on our vitality or our slumber. Please recite with me. Whatever comes, may all beings notice, relax, and flow. Whatever stays, may all beings notice, relax, and flow. Whatever goes, may all beings notice, relax, and flow. Let us begin with the first of 5 mindful crease counting meditations. We're going to use the same gesture we just explored in the text. So the key to practicing the essence of mindfulness is to silently and mentally recite the 3-syllable verb noticing during each inhalation. Every time we inhale, whether we know it or not, we are wired to access a sympathetic nervous system ensconced within the middle third of our spinal cord. This bad boy has evolved to help us to notice in a very special way, to help us notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly, whatever comes up. Oops, wrong button. So, during our exhalation, I'll rephrase that, we can practice the essence of meditation by silently and mentally reciting the 3-syllable verb relaxing during each exhalation. Together as a team, let us practice right now. Going to shift gears. Let's see here. We're going to hit supplement and vast expanse. We're going to relaxingly recite an excerpt from Vast Expanse of the Diamond-like Mind, composed by Prahe Vajra, translated from the Tibetan by Chokyo Nankai Norbu, translated from the Italian by Adriano Clemente, adapted and amplified by this MOOC which sits before you now. Let us relaxingly recite. It is one, totally beyond an aspect. The yogi dwells in the pathways of the birds in the skies. In the essence that never occurred and never originated, where are all phenomena supposed to exist? So let's start at the top, literally, right here. Whatever we observe, so every time we relax into our exhalation, whatever we noticed during our previous inhalation could feel rather non-graspable. So whatever dualities we noticed, for instance, beautiful and ugly, discordant and melodious, pleasurable or painful, delicious or disgusting, fragrant or foul. Whatever these things we notice during our inhalation, when we relax into our exhalation, they seem to have the same single taste of non-graspability. Fleetingly. Together. It is one totally beyond an aspect. The yogi dwells in the pathways of the birds in the sky, in the essence that never occurred and never originated, where are all phenomena supposed to exist. So, the more we practice mindfulness and meditation authentically and consistently, about once every 12 hours or so, the more we notice that our choices and our utterances and our deeds stop being influenced by contrivance or by scattered neurosis or neurotic spontaneity, and instead seem to flow from centered spontaneity. Similarly, a great yogi, a great meditator in the tradition of the Buddha, his life or her life is guided by that centered spontaneity. Outwardly, it appears to be random and perhaps even illogical, maybe even destructive. But it's literally going with the flow. And just as birds clearly have a destination in mind, but when we watch the birds, it doesn't look like it. It kind of looks random. That's the same phenomena with the Buddhist yogis. Let's continue with the word it. It is one totally beyond an aspect. The yogi dwells in the pathways of birds in the sky, in the essence that never occurred and never originated, where all phenomena supposed to exist. So there is a fundamental confusion between figurative emptiness and non-existence. The Buddha did not teach either extreme of eternalism or nihilism, but he did teach that as we breathe in, things appear to us one way, and as we relax into our exhalation, they appear to us a different way. That fluctuation helps us to let go and be less a slave to our own neurotic impulses. Together. It is one totally beyond an aspect. The yogi dwells in the pathways of the birds in the sky, in the essence that never occurred and never originated, where are all phenomena supposed to exist. So I'm going to stay here a moment and adjust the text. Let's hit verse. Whoops. We could rest all four great knuckles on our right hand upon the tips of all four of our left fingers, palms and lap. I think it would make more sense if I changed the wording. Please bear with me. Okay, let's try this again. We could rest all four fingertips of our left hand upon all four great knuckles of our right hand, palms up in our lap. Doing so could gently invite our real or imagined subtle energies to automatically coalesce in the region of our throat that seems to tighten just before we cry. So, yes, we notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly during our inhalation, but what is it that we notice? We could notice perceptions. We could notice sights, sounds, sensations, flavors, scents, and the like. We could notice the full spectrum of human emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and imaginings. But remember, we notice these things spontaneously, randomly, passively. Let's continue. So I'm going to turn to a different text. Please bear with me. All right, together let us relaxingly recite. The first thing I want to make sure this fits on the screen well. Close enough. Here we go. Outer and inner are both. The outer is the inner. The profound is not an object of understanding, not even a part of it. Existence is only a name, the power of mistake. Thus one remains separate from the equality of meditation. So let's start with the word outer. Outer and inner are both. The outer is the inner. So once again, as we relax into our exhalation, the duality we perceive during our inhalation, or I should say, the poles of the duality we observe during our inhalation have the same taste of non-graspability or fleeting impermanence. Let's continue. Outer and inner are both. The outer is the inner. The profound is not an object of understanding, not even a part of it. Existence is only a name, the power of mistake. Thus one remains separate from the equality of meditation. So the profound is not something we contemplate using pseudo-intellectual mental gymnastics or superstitious blind faith. The profound is something we touch every time we relax into our exhalation, whether we have eloquent words to describe it or not. Outer and inner are both. The outer is the inner. The profound is not an object of understanding, not even a part of it. Existence is only a name, the power of mistake. Thus one remains separate from the equality of meditation. When someone reads the Hebrew Old Testament, they see that Adam named everything in the Garden of Eden. That's a wonderful metaphor for the fact that humans love to label things. Accurately or inaccurately, whimsically or seriously, we love to label things. But labeling something creates an illusion that we understand it more than we do, and it creates an illusion that it's permanent and solid. But that's a mistake. Whatever permanence or solidity we observe during our in-breath could feel quite non-graspable as we relax into our exhalation. Outer and inner together. Outer and inner are both. The outer is the inner. The profound is not an object of understanding, not even a part of it. Existence is only a name, the power of mistake. Thus one remains separate from the equality of meditation. We're going to shift texts again. Back to the opening lesson. Bear with me. Let's see, I'm going to hit supplements, and I'm going to hit verse. And now we're going to scooch on down the road. Although these actions of our fingers might not bestow upon us the miraculous actions of a Tolkien fever dream, they could assist our body's practice of the Buddha's mindfulness and meditation. So, once again, going to shift gears, kind of talking myself through the jungles of OBS. So I'm going to do my best. Okay. So what we're going to do now is this. When we rest the great knuckle at the base of our right middle finger upon the tip of our left middle finger, palms up in our lap. we wind up gently inviting our real or imagined subtle energies to automatically coalesce at the heart region of our chest. So the essence of mindfulness, we practice the essence of mindfulness by silently and mentally reciting the three-syllable verb noticing during each inhalation. Doing so, we can notice all manner of things, from the external to the internal, from the physical to the mental, from the pleasurable to the painful, from the interesting to the boring, from the glorious to the grotesque. What do we do with that which we notice? Simple. We meditate. And by not only silently and mentally reciting the word relaxing during our exhalation, but by cooperating with our parasympathetic nervous system, which is already wired to support the physical relaxation and mental release that we describe as meditation. So together as a team, let us practice right now. We shift gears again. Together, let us relaxingly recite. Outer and inner, whoopsie, let's try this again. The outer and inner samayas abide in the nature of the aggregates and sense bases. Since in the three times no one is ever separate from it, there is no need to ever use the word samaya. Samaya literally refers to one's vows. The tantric samaya can be described in three facets. Relying upon the example of one's teacher, relying upon the example of one's teacher, and relying upon the students of one's teacher. Now, there's a very bold claim. Since in the three times, past, present, and future, no one is ever separate from it. What does that mean? Everyone who authentically practices mindfulness and meditation in the manner I described to you, noticing as we breathe in, relaxing as we breathe out, at least once every 12 hours or so, will be automatically drawn to doing these things. Sturgeon's law reminds us that 90% of everything sucks, but not in the fun, tingly way. That 90% not only includes things, beings, and phenomena, includes meditation teachers and meditation authors. And that those who are rigid and controlling will try to coerce people to doing what they think is the right thing. But when we traverse the Buddha's path of authentic mindfulness and meditation, we are traversing a path that is flexible and laid back, where we don't have to coerce one another or ourselves to do the right thing. The more we practice mindfulness and meditation, the more we excite our anterior cingulate gyrus, the seat of empathy. And so doing the right thing becomes an inevitability. And so right here we're talking about the outer and inner vows are the same as the nature of our aggregates and sense bases. In other words, our bones and marrow, the very facets of our mind, the very facets of the doors of perception. We are already wired by natural selection to notice and relax. Cooperate with that. And doing the right thing becomes an inevitability. Let's continue. The outer and inner samayas abide in the nature of aggregates and sense bases. Since in the three times no one is ever separate from it, there is no need to ever use the word samaya. One of the great tragedies, and that's always been here, is that the 90% who follow religious patriarchy have a louder voice than the 10% who follow spiritual matriarchy, like the Buddha did. Why, even in the Buddha's day, his cousin did his best to undermine the Buddha's teachings and actually divide his students. And so this is nothing new. The majority of Dzogchen teachers today live in stark contrast to this first text in the Dzogchen tradition, penned in the 600s in the Swat Valley in present-day Pakistan. And when confronted how their teachings conflict with this original text, They get very angry and say, well, this is a forbidden text and you're not allowed to read it, which says a lot about their controlling tendencies and the hardness of their heart. Let's continue. The outer and inner samayas abide in the nature of the aggregates and sense bases. Since in the 3 times no one is ever separate from it, there is no need to ever use the word samaya. The outer and inner samayas abide in the nature of the aggregates and sense bases. Since in the 3 times no one is ever separate from it, there is no need to ever use the word samaya. And yet, that is what you hear a lot from conventional so-called Dzogchen teachers. It's very, very sad. For many of them just are good-hearted. They just have not been taught this. When we read the collection of biographies of the so-called lineage teachers, we even see his original students contradicted his original teachings, which is very, very sad. Welcome to the 4th of 5 mindful crease counting meditations. For instance, in the discourse on the middling discourse of the 4 bases of mindfulness, in the second to the last passage, the Buddha taught that one can master full enlightenment in as little as 7 days. However, you don't hear that being taught. People talk about taking, innumerable lifetimes, but that is not what the Buddha taught. But those who are more interested in elitism and dominance find it easier to coerce people by overwhelming them. And so we see the great irony that the greatest luminaries had the smallest followings. Look at Bodhidharma. He only had 2 students. Look at the author of, look at the 3rd Zen patriarch. He only had 1 student. The greatest luminaries, for some reason, were not great salesmen. Great salesmen are happy to use fear to coerce people. So what we can do right now is we can rest the great knuckle at the base of our right ring finger upon the tip of our left ring finger, palms up in our lap. Doing so could gently invite our real or imagined subtle energies to automatically coalesce in the navel region of our mid-abdomen. During our inhalation, we can passively notice mind's antics. During our exhalation, we can relax into its non-graspable nature. Now, the moment you have a specific question about Buddhist recitation, Buddhist meditation, or Buddhist philosophy, do not hesitate to type your question in great detail in the chat window. I implore you to ask your questions during class, not after class. Together, let's relaxingly recite. Immovable, it is the symbol of the body. Unshakable, it is wisdom. Not taking hold of anything, it has no self. Not rejecting anything, it has the quality that transcends words. Immovable, it is the symbol of the body. Unshakable, it is wisdom. When we breathe in, we can perceive things as seeming permanent. Together, beginning with the first knot. Not taking hold of anything, it has no self. Not rejecting anything, it has the quality that transcends worlds. During each exhalation, we are already wired, thanks to our parasympathetic nervous system, to physically relax. Doing so causes that which we perceived during a previous inhalation to fleetingly seem less permanent. It makes it easier to at least momentarily let go. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever illusion of a permanent and unchanging self we might have noticed during our inhalation could feel far less graspable. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever aversion we might have noticed during our previous inhalation fades. During our inhalation, things are very, very different. They seem very different, as they should. Because if we don't know the difference between food and poison, we will not live very long. However, as we relax into our exhalation, everything begins to take on the same flavor of momentary non-graspability. That is the equality that transcends words. Together. Immovable, it is the symbol of the body. Unshakable, it is wisdom. Not taking hold of anything, it has no self. Not rejecting anything, it has the equality that transcends words. Immovable, it is the symbol of the body. Unshakable, it is wisdom. Not taking hold of anything, it has no self. Not rejecting anything, it has the equality that transcends words. We come to this morning's last meditation practice, so let's make it count. If you have any questions right now about Buddhist recitation or meditation or philosophy, this is the ideal time to type your question in great detail in the chat window. Hey, Jay, what do you say? Jay, if you're still here, you can hear my voice. I'm putting the finishing touches on the first draft of my first book, and when it's available for download, I'll share the link with you and everybody else. So, here we go. As we rest the great knuckle at the base of our right little finger upon the tip of our left little finger, palms up in our lap. We could gently invite our real or imagined subtle energies to automatically coalesce at the bladder region of our lower abdomen. Once again, let's be succinct. The key to practicing mindfulness is to silently and mentally recite the verb noticing during each inhalation. And the key to meditation is to silently and mentally recite the verb relaxing during each exhalation. It's just that simple. You have taken your first step into a much larger world. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 9 hours, I would very much like to return to lead today's evening meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, whoops, wrong button. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.